Hi you guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm so happy to have you guys here. As you guys can see by the title down below, I'll be giving you guys a few tips and tricks on how to approach your finals. Basically, I'll be giving you guys the study tips and the advice that I implemented and the advice that I had and the things that I did that helped me get 7 whopping distinctions. So if you're excited for this video, please just make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you enjoy this video, please make sure you check out my other content. You never know, you might find that you love this channel and you might end up subscribing, you never know. But that's besides the point. Without further ado, let's just get straight into this video. So, tip number 1. This one is, I think, the most important one. And throughout this video, I will say that every single tip is equally as important. Like, don't take anything with a grain of salt. I think that each of these tips and implementing everything that I'm about to speak about today is really going to set you up for success. But this one is yeah, it's just one of those. And that is faith. Guys, pray during finals, hey? Like, there's only so much strength that you have within you. And I personally don't think I would be here without the strength I got from God. Guys, pray. And I know religion is different and personal for everyone. And whatever religious journey you on, or whatever religion you subscribe to or believe in, that is your thing. But I will say, guys, please just pray and have faith in God. Because there will be times where you don't believe in yourself. There will be times where you feel weak. There will be times where you feel tired. But I swear and I promise, guys, please just pray. Put in the effort and God will do the rest. Tip number 2. So for this one pertains mostly to revision. Yeah, and I think revision is very important because that's basically what we're doing here. I mean, maybe a bit, some studying here and there, but this is pertaining to majority of revision and how to approach your revision. Yeah. And I was actually very shocked to find out that a lot of people don't actually revise this way, and I think this really might help a lot of people. So, how I revised in Matric was broken down into 3 main steps. Step number 1 is I would understand the content first. You guys must remember that some of the stuff that you are revising and some of the things that are going to be in the exam are things that you did months ago, and some of the things you really might not fully grasp. And it's not just that, maybe it is something you just covered recently, but you just don't understand properly. I think there is no point in moving forward with anything else without understanding your work. Understanding your work will look differently for everyone. Some people, it's the key cards. I was a key cards type of girl. I loved my key cards. Active recall through and through. I'm sure you guys have heard of active recall. I know a lot of people, understand, or at least prove that they understand the content through teaching others. That's a really good method as well. I still do that up until now that I'm in uni. So the main point I'm trying to make here is understand your work. And then step 2 would be, after you understand your work, is to move on to low level questions. And these are the type of questions that you want to check your understanding. So step 1 was understand the work. Step 2 is now checking our understanding. Because yes, you can say you understand Newton's law. Yes, you can say you understand reproduction. But do you actually understand? And this is going to be the test of that. So how I used to do this in high school is different for every subject. So for an example, I used to use like government past papers as like understanding, like just to check my understanding. Or for an example, for maths, I would use an easier textbook. So we had 2 textbooks for maths. We had a platinum textbook, and then we also had a Kevin Smith textbook. So I would use the platinum textbook just to do some low-level questions, you guys. Just those exercises that are usually at the end of a section, just to check your understanding, guys. These are supposed to be low-level questions. They really aren't supposed to be that difficult. And if they are difficult, maybe you need to go back to step 1 and revise some of that content again. Because step 3 is to do the difficult, higher order questions. And for maths, this for me looked like doing the Kevin Smith textbook. Because those questions are pretty difficult, I'm not gonna lie. Those questions are there to, at least the third step, the point of the third step is to apply your understanding now. And it's to extend your understanding. And that's the point of these questions, is now to do higher order questions. At least that's what we used to call them at school. We used to call them like the higher order questions. So that's step 3. So that should be the basis of your revision. Is step 1, understand. Step 2, do low level. Step 3, do higher order questions. Tip number 3. Okay, past papers. We all know past papers. We've all heard of past papers. They are very important. I think past papers, if you don't do anything in this video, and I'm sure you've heard this before, I probably sound like a broken telephone, but make sure you do past papers. Like, past papers are very important. However, do past papers right, okay? There's a way to do past papers, and I'm gonna give you guys a few tips on how to approach past papers. So tip number 1 within the past paper. Tip number 3.1 basically is to make notes on your mistakes. And guys, this is very important. This is very, very, very important. Because I'm sure that as you guys are familiar with past papers now, you guys have gone through trials. So you know past papers. And there are times where you'll get something wrong. And this literally applies to every single subject, even in maths, guys. Like, make sure you make notes on your mistakes. And what I mean by that is, for an example, if I'm doing a bio paper, like a life science paper, and I get maybe a particular question wrong, getting the question wrong and marking that, it doesn't end with marking the X, guys. What you should do is you should have at least like a different exam pad, or at least on that paper that you are working on, if you are keen on keeping that paper. But I would advise to have like a different piece of paper where every time you get something wrong, you write it down on that piece of paper. So for an example, going back to the life science example, if I was explaining ovulation, for an example, and let's say I missed a step, write on that piece of paper, don't forget this. Write, hey, don't say FSH, say the full word. Hey, list, maybe actually it would be even better to write what the memo says, and link it back to the question. So for an example, like if the question says like, what is FSH? Tip number 3.2, very short but very mighty. Guys, don't forget supplementary papers, okay? Supplementary papers are very difficult. And if anything, I think this ties into my second tip about the higher order questions. I think supplementary questions are the type of, not questions, supplementary past papers are the type of past papers that you do within that higher order thinking level, because they are so difficult. I think they're really good to really test your knowledge. Don't put too much emphasis on them because they are supplementary and your exam will be a bit more easier. But if you find yourself that you are able to do those papers well, especially the IEB ones, you are safe. Like you are fine, is what I'm going to say. Tip number 3.3, and guys, this is my favorite one within the past papers, is to basically use your past paper as a textbook. And I know it sounds crazy, but let me explain. You guys know how past papers are usually divided into sections. So for physics, for an example, there'll be a question based on Newton's law, and then there'll be a question on electricity, then there'll be a question on electromagnetism. For bio, life science, there'll be a question on reproduction, there'll be a question on the nervous system for NSC kids, there'll be a question on the endocrine system. You guys get the gist. So how I used to utilize this, and I think you guys should as well, is my first step would be to write and list all the past papers I have available to me. I would really suggest you guys really hone in on the number of past papers. You only have so much time. Do as many as you can, but don't overdo them. I think there's a very fine line. Do as many as you can, but don't overdo them. I think 10 to 12 max is safe. If you feel like doing more, that's okay, but I think 10 to 12 past papers is more than enough. So yeah, have that list. And within that list, the 3 most recent I would dedicate to exam condition revision, where you are doing the past paper start to finish within the allocated exam time. But the remaining 7 past papers, I would actually use them like I would use a textbook. And what I mean by that is, for an example, going back and actually linking back to my second point, is after, for an example, let's say I'm covering Newton's law. Let's say I'm covering Newton's law and I've done my low level questions, and now I'm doing my higher order questions, and I need, something to practice with. That's where those 7 past papers would come in. What I would do is I would go through each year, obviously, of that remaining 10. If you're doing bio, maybe you'll focus on reproduction. If you are doing maths, maybe you'll just focus on Euclidean. I'm sure you guys get the gist. This is really helpful, again, linking back to like tip 2 about the higher order questions, but it's also just helpful in exposing yourself to the higher order questions. And I hope that really makes sense to you guys, because I think it is a very crucial way to utilize your past papers. Moving on to tip number 4, which is about SAGs. And I know a lot of people aren't really familiar with SAGs, and I was very shocked to find this out last year. But guys, SAGs is very important. It is quite literally your examiners giving you the rubric, like, hey, this is what you should study, broken down so perfectly. It's basically all the sections and all the topics that you need to know for each subject. And it is different for each subject, once again. Like for physics, it is way more detailed. Like I know for IEB, I'll try like put it on the screen, but I know for IEB that they quite literally like tell you, know how to define this and that, know how to calculate this and that. And guys, if that doesn't sound like a gift from God, I don't know what is, because that's quite literally a guideline for your studying. Né? So let me explain to you guys how I utilized and basically made the most out of the SAGs documents. So step number 1 in utilizing your SAGs is to highlight the sections that you're comfortable with and the sections that you are not so comfortable with. Ne? And that is obviously done by going through the document. Preferably please print it out so you have it on like in paper. Even with past papers, guys, I actually used to print out my past papers. I think I it's just better that way. And I know like some people don't have the funds to do that, and if you don't, like, don't do it. But if you can, please just print them out. Like, it really does make a difference. So print out your SAGS document and highlight the sections that you are comfortable with and the sections that you are not so comfortable with. And obviously start by covering the sections that you are not comfortable with. And this is gonna step into tip number 2. SAGS is perfect for showing you and telling you which sections are important and which sections, you know, are not so important. And I'm not saying that they don't study them. I'm just saying that spend more time practicing this section because the exam is going to focus on this section more. And let me explain what I mean by that. So I'm going to go back and link this to the physics SAGS. So for IEB, what we had for our SAGS document was on the first page, or on the cover page, they would basically break down the mark distribution, saying, oh, momentum is going to weigh this many marks, Newton is going to weigh this many marks, what's electromagnetism is going to weigh this many marks, electricity this many marks. You guys get the gist. And the more marks, the more time you spend covering that section, is what I'm trying to say. And I think that will really, really help you in maximizing your marks, because at least you know that the big section you've got covered, you know that the big section you've got aced, and if anything, that big section should be highlighted. That should be one of the sections that you're like, let me put finger on her. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. SAGS is very important. If you guys want me to do more explaining, just hit me up on TikTok and I might just do like a TikTok video on it as well. So tip number 5 is to plan. I know a lot of you guys may have found me through TikTok, and if you haven't, I'll link it down below. But when my matric year and during finals, I'll actually vlog a lot of my studying. And if you've watched those videos, you know, before I begin studying, I plan. Guys, plan. Like, let me show you guys my uni planner. Like, homegirl is done. I got this from Typo. Typo has really good planners, but obviously any planner works. Like this one I'm using now is from China Mall. Like, just get yourself a good planner. Like, I'm a planner through and through, you guys. Like, plan your day. I will make sure to link the planner that I used in Matric down below, because what I did in Matric is I had this very big, like this A4 planner that I bought from Typo, and I would basically print out like a planner, like a daily planner each day that I would cut and stick into that notebook, and it worked perfectly fine for me, you guys. And even if you don't have the option to do that, make sure at the beginning of every day you set your goals for the day. Like, you know what you're gonna study for this section, what you're gonna cover for this subject. Just plan. I swear, you guys, it really, 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 really does make a difference. Tip number 6 is to take breaks and rest. You guys, finals are really tough. Finals are tough on the mind, finals are tough on the spirit, and finals are tough on the body. You are going to stretch yourself in ways that you feel like you've never done before. Finals for me took me to places that I didn't think were possible, and I think I wouldn't have remained as sane as I was without utilizing my mental health. And how you do that is to take breaks. Take breaks. And also, don't overwork yourself. I used to work from 10 until 12 midnight. And for clarification on how I broke down my studying, go check out my TikTok, because I have vlogs on there that detail my studying and how I broke, like how much I studied for each section and each subject and how many subjects I studied. But make sure to take breaks, guys. And I'm not saying, like, guys, of course there's like breaks and then there's breaks. Take breaks. Take that walk. Go outside. Speak to your friends, get on that, really just make sure, don't engulf yourself in just finals. Like, try and balance everything. Of course, finals are going to weigh more on that balance, but still have that balance, you guys. Taking breaks is very important, and it really prevents you from burnout. And burnout is the worst thing you can face when writing. Not only is taking breaks throughout the day as you study important, but also getting that 6 to 8 hours sleep is crucial. Tip number 7 would be to not neglect your work throughout the year. So your year's work, don't neglect that, guys. The whole point of that work is to prepare you for this point. And what I mean by that is utilize your past tests. Go through those tests, see where you went wrong, see where you can improve. Go through some assignments. Like, obviously don't go through all the assignments because not all assignments are important, but go through the assignments that particularly link to the exam content and assignments that you feel like are very important for the exam. I know, for example, for history that you might have an essay that you wrote on a particular topic. Go through that essay. Maybe your teacher had some notes about your explanation in regards to how an event occurred. Or maybe in geo, we had a lot of climatology assignments. Going through those assignments and seeing maybe where there's a knowledge gap, or maybe where you have room for improvement. The whole point of going through your year's work is to see where there's room for improvement. Tip number 8, and this one is pertaining to on the exam day, and that is to have a fulfilling and filling breakfast. Guys, I think breakfast is very important because having a good breakfast and having a good meal is going to eliminate so much stress. Like, not only is it going to give you the energy that you need, having a filling breakfast is also going to make sure that you don't worry about your stomach throughout the exam. Like, you're already stressing about too much within the exam. Like, the last thing you want to stress about is grumbling tummy, So make sure you guys have a good breakfast. What I had throughout Matric was muesli from Woolies every day, without a doubt. That was what I had. I highly suggest. It's really good. It's very filling. It's full of protein. It's full with fiber. It's really going to get you through that 2 to 3 hours of writing. Tip number 9, and this one is pertaining to just finals as a whole. And I think it's even more so about your mindset when approaching finals. Guys, try your best. Whatever you do, put your best foot forward. Because what you are doing here is setting yourself up for your future. And my mentality throughout finals, and I think what really got me through finals and what really pushed that drive for 7 distinctions was I wanted to set myself up for a good future. I know that a lot of people don't have the access to funds to take them to varsity, but that shouldn't hinder you. Having a good Matric certificate really sets you up for a good future, because jobs ask for these things. Like, bursaries ask for these things. To this day, applying for bursaries as a first-year student in varsity and varsity, they still ask for my matric certificate. So I think it's quite important that you really try your best in everything that you do, you guys, especially now that it's finals. And also do remember that finals weigh much more than your class record. They weigh much more than the stuff that you've been doing throughout the year. So if you feel as though, oh, like I've been doing bad this year, like what's the point? No, my babe, like this is the time to actually prove yourself and really show to yourself that you can do it. And what better way than doing that by putting your best foot forward? Work smart and work hard. Tip number 10, guys, you don't have to suffer alone. You don't. This whole journey is not about suffering, it's about doing well and passing. So if you feel yourself struggling, if you feel yourself losing hope, if you feel yourself feeling like a failure, I know I felt like that so many times throughout my final journey. If you feel any of those emotions, know that you don't have to suffer alone. Speak to a teacher. Speak to your parents. Speak to your friends. And if those three aren't even an option for you, there's an online community of so many matric students who are going through the same thing as you. And you won't know that if you don't reach out and speak out. Guys, you don't have to suffer alone. Finals are really tough, as I said, on both the mind, the spirit, and even the body. So guys, please reach out. I feel like speaking to someone and really letting those feelings out. If you do feel low, tell someone, be like, hey mom, like I'm not feeling the best today, like I feel ABC. Speak to your friend, like, hey Chomi, like am I crazy for feeling this way? Like, you'll never know. Like, it really does lift that weight off your shoulders, having that community of people. So guys, please don't suffer alone. So tip number 11, and this is something that I really haven't heard a lot of people talk about. It's actually not something that a lot of people do, but I think that this really did help me, and it really does link back to my previous tip about reaching out to people. My 11th tip is to document your matric journey. And again, this is something that a lot of people don't really talk about, but there's something that really helped me. And everything you document doesn't have to be published to the world to see. Like, some things that I documented in my matric journey are truly for me and only for me to ever see. And what I did and how this looked for me was, apart from the vlogs and stuff, like that's a completely different thing. What I did for my matric journey and how I documented my matric journey is, after each and every exam, is I would basically sit in front of the camera and talk about how I'm feeling about the exam. Just basically venting about the exam, talking about what I found difficult, talking about how I feel I did, crying. I know for a few papers I did cry and just, just express how sad I was feeling or how difficult the paper was and how much hope I had or how much hope I didn't have. And I think that really helped, not only because obviously after an exam, there's the next exam waiting for you, and documenting each and every exam really helped me sit on those feelings with that exam and put them aside and focus on the next thing. And not only does it help with that, I think my main reason for documenting is because throughout my high school journey, there's been times where, like, you'll go into a paper and you'll write the paper, and it's either you enjoy the paper or you won't. And this was really for times where I wouldn't enjoy the paper, and when the marks came out, I was shocked that I didn't do as well, you know, or maybe not even that I didn't enjoy the paper. Let's say the paper was just hard, you know. And when marks came out, I was like, oh my god, like, how did I get this mark? Forgetting that, babes, remember when you were writing, things were A, B, C, D, you felt this way about this question, this, that. I think it really just does help you when your marks do come out. You are able to really conceptualize your mark, actually, and really say, okay, you know what, this really does make sense. Like, I really didn't enjoy that paper. Like, this went, like, this went wrong. This was in the paper, and I really didn't study that well. So I hope my point is coming across, you guys, and I really do hope that a lot of you implement this, because it really helped, and it really doesn't have to stick to your finals. If you're going through something personally, vlog it to yourself. And if, you know, I know a lot of people are uncomfortable being in front of the camera, I would voice memo as well. Like, voice memos really also help. Another thing that really helps is journaling. I also journaled. So having an outlet for your emotions, because again, step 10 might not be an option for many people, and it was not an option for me sometimes. And when it wasn't an option for me, I was the option. So I hope this helps, and I hope you guys really do implement this, because it really does make a difference. And now, moving on to my last tip number 12. Like, now that I'm in varsity, I can really be a testament to what I'm about to say, and it's that 7 distinctions really aren't that important. And I know a lot of people who are here who have 5 distinctions, 6 distinctions, 4 distinctions, even 2 and 1 distinction. Like, distinctions are important. Aim high, strive for the highest, but the mark that you get is the mark that you deserve. And why? Because you worked hard for it. And I think what got me through December as well, you know how like people always say, oh, like in December you stress a lot about your matric marks, and yes, you kind of do. I'm not gonna lie, you kind of do, but it's not as much as people say it is. It's usually like in January when like when you know that ish, like, okay, like I'm getting my marks soon. That's when the stress really does kick in. But what really got me through finals, and what really got me through that waiting period, is knowing that whatever mark I get is the mark I deserve, because I tried my best. And as long as you try your best, and as long as you work as hard as you can, you will be fine. And you never know, you might get those 7 distinctions. Thank you guys so much for watching this video and getting to this point in the video. I truly hope that this video was as informative and as helpful as I wanted to be. This is the type of video that I wish I had in Matric, as I said in the beginning of the video. And I really hope that I've made a difference to someone. I really hope that I've, you know, given at least one person, you know, a tip or 2 on how to approach finals. Finals are fun. Looking back, like I have a lot of fun memories in finals. So really enjoy the process, really try your best, make it worthwhile, and have faith, guys. I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching this video. And if you guys have any more questions, I'll link my Instagram in the description box down below. I'm also on TikTok, so comment under a video of mine. You can even DM me on there as well. But yeah, you guys, if you guys have any more questions, ask them in the comment section down below. I'm here to help. But without further ado, thank you so much, you guys, for watching this video. I hope you guys thoroughly enjoyed this video. I love you all so much. I can't wait to hear from you guys in the description, not the description box, but I can't wait to hear from you guys in the comment section down below and on my other socials. Thank you so much, and see you on the next one. Mwah.